Welcome to the January edition of Talking Points, and this video is called Talking Points for a reason. We want to talk to you, so utilise the comment section below this video to both answer the questions I ask you and of course ask us some questions if you have any. The idea behind this video is quite simple. We're going to pick some subjects from the videos that we released on Cypography throughout January, and then we're going to use those talking points to generate a little bit of a discussion with you. So I'll ask you a question and please answer it. If you do answer it, we're going to give you free access to Cypography, and we're also going to choose one person and they are going to get their hands on a brand new Cypography hoodie. So everyone that comments, you will get free access to Cypography, and we're also going to pick someone and they'll get a hoodie as well. So let's begin. The first talking point I have is from Steve Renyard's series, which is called The 48, which is all about him going to open access venues with 48 hours fishing ahead of him, like a lot of you will and do, I'm sure. Now, in the latest video, he's at the Pans Estate Lake, but whilst he's there, he's using maggots, and he's not using the maggots as I would. I've always used my maggots as they come. Steve's actually adding turmeric and garlic to them to spice them up a little bit. So the question I have for you is, how do you use your maggots? Do you use them as you'd get them from the tackle shop, or do you, like him, like to add something extra to them?
Welcome guys, we're on the third of the 48. It's been a while since we shot the last one. Lots of things have happened and things, you know, that they happen. But this is an exciting one for me. This is on a state lake, and until this year, I've only fished this one twice. I've caught an estate lake carp, which after 46 years of fishing, that's a good one, but I've never filmed it. So we're going to go into the local tackle shop. It's an old school tackle shop, one that all the kids can come in and they can hang around instead of like these ones in the units and whatever they can't go to. This creates carp anglers, and I think, and so we're going to go in there, get the maggot, go to Co-op, get some turmeric powder, hopefully, and I'm going to show you what we do that when we get to the lake. Thanks, mate. Right guys, there's two words that it's my favourite words when it comes to English heritage. And Rich Stewart, my big old mate Rich Stewart, years ago, he come out with one of my magazine features, quintessentially English. It's a beautiful word. It doesn't get any better than this. We've got a nice chalk stream here. Apparently there's grayling and trout in there, but what we're interested in is the carp that reside in the 4-acre lake behind there, and it is literally untouched. The swim I'm in is the one by the car park, but it's beautiful. I've caught every night on here, but it's hard to ignore the naturals. This time of year, it's 10 foot deep, and they seem to I've had a birthday week down here. I've literally milked my birthday, like I always do. And the lads, only one of them's caught, and me. And I haven't fished for 3 days. I've literally left it alone. I didn't want to, if I caught the big one and Cypography weren't here, I'll get my hands slapped and I'll be on the naughty step. So we're going to go back. I'm going to put the turmeric on the maggots, put the garlic powder on, get a little bit of a mix going, get the rods back out, and because it's dark at 4 o'clock, so that's critical this time of year to get everything ready and to go. And where you're filming it slows you down the process. So let's get off and we'll go and get the rods out. Right, I've got no time to waste. Been up the shop to the tackle shop, got a gallon of maggot, something that you can't ignore this time of the year. Just that little bit, you know, the HMV Pro I've been using from Blake's, there's 40 odd fish in there. We've had 29 bites on it, so we know it works. But one thing I always tend to do this time of the year is get some little wrigglers. They just seem to be that turning point just to get that bite. And I'll still use the HMV, I'll grind some up, I'll put some out bits and then 12 millers. But the use of a little bit of corn, bit of hemp, bit of maggot. So what I did, I zipped into Morrison's and I got some turmeric powder. Now that, I used to catch so many carp on it, bream, tench, everything. They love it. It's a natural, it's quite spicy, but it also colours It colours them up. You can use it on floaters, you can use it on chickpeas. I used to put it in the boilies, and everything loves it. We're going to put turmeric on the maggots, and also, just to give it a nice flavour profile, Indian spice with a little bit of garlic, and yeah, it'd be like eating a tandoori, and they love it. They love it hot this time of year, and with the wrigglers, it's just that we just need to get them down, dipped in. We got 48 just to get a bite, so here we go. Right, this is my banker spot. I know it's difficult to make fishing sexy, but this is sexy. There's a little tarp there. I know it's 15 1/3 wraps off of my sticks. They're not 12 foot, but as I cast in, as long as I get it right, it just clips the tree. I put slide a bag of hemp up the hook link. I know it don't tangle through those little leaves, and bam, it drops down, right hard spot. Gonna get some maggot on there. I put some hemp out just before we went up the shop. I put some hemp on this spot, and a little bit of sweet corn and some HMV Pro. So put some maggot on there, ones we've just prepped, and yeah, hopefully this will be the one that you see do a bite. So I'm going to put I'm going to spread these maggot, because I put the hemp and the HMV Pro boilie out with a little bit of sweet corn, and now we're covering all angles here. Right, told you that was sexy, and that is sexy. Right, before I chuck this out on the sexy spot, little change of tactic for me. Never used double corn. I've got done a couple of times. There's a few crayfish in here, so I've come in with twice now with no bait on, so I can't afford that on this filming. So I'll put just for a daytime bite, a couple of bits of double corn. I've sprayed it with a HMV Pro spray. I've got a little bag of maggot attached. Put a piece of dissolving rig foam on there, just so that doesn't beat that lead off. I've had a load of, every time I've put a rod on it, I've had a bite. So let's get it out there. Not quite far enough in. The wind, I'll cast it to the left because the wind's taking it in that way, but it stayed out to the left. I've got big old leads on here, so the next one, I don't think I'll get away with that. Nah, I'll redo that. All right, mate. Like I said, I just want to clip the tree, and that just took off about 3 leaves off the tree. Down it went, boom. That's a bite, boy. Right, first rod, perfect. Second rod, slight change of, I did think about putting another one against that, but I've done that before, and I've hooked up the other rod before, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to risk it. There's a big common in here. If I could catch that for film, yeah, that'd be some viewing. So I'm going to put this one. There's a big prominent bar, which you can see, and from the drone footage, once Rich puts it up, I don't like the drone going up straight away because I want to work out my own things first. Bless my mate Greg, I've got this torn shoulder. It's a rotor cuff or something like that. I've never been in so much pain in all my life. I'm on 2 ibuprofen now, and 2 Paramol, just to get these rods out. But he came down yesterday and spommed out for me. I clipped him up for him, and he spommed out half a bucket. Greg Taverner, lovely, lovely fella, and thanks Greg for that. So I'm going to get this one. It's 19.5 wraps. Whap it up right onto the, it's on the side of that bar. It's on the drop off. It's about 9 foot. I've only leaded it with, you know, just the lead. I haven't marker floated it or anything like that. But it's a good drop. It donks down, and that's good enough for me. So all I'm going to do is deposit this before it starts to rain, and that's 2 rods out. I've got to tie another rig for the other rod, and I'm going to get that one. Same wraps as over towards the far margin, but we'll get this one out now, and so hopefully we can grab a daytime bite. Yep, so as you can see, that went straight in just on the side of it. It's about 8 foot. And you know, autumnal, as you can see from the edges, there's a lot of leaves coming down, and they let off some sort of, you know, like toxins from the leaves, sap and all that, and the carp don't like it too much in the edges, like, you know. Contrary to that one, that's not how many leaves dropping on it, and it's 10 foot deep. But they've been in the margins here when I was here before, and I haven't seen a carp in the margins. They definitely don't like the leaves. So it's a little tip. Okay, last rod. This one's going out to the far bank. I fished it about a week ago, and I had 2 fish of it at a 31 common. And off of that spot, I'm fishing away from, because I said about the leaves and stuff, so I'm fishing it away from the margin and the crays. There's a few crays in here, and I got done over there. So when I went into the deeper water, and it worked, 2 bites, so you never know. So I'm just going to put this one back, not put any bait on it because of the shoulder. So that's game, set, match, all 3 out, see what happens. Right, so that one, that's dropped. Where had the 2 bites the other day? It's a bit hit and miss, but I've hit right on the hard spot. That's, I'd say that one, and the middle. I'm unsure about that left-hand one. It's dropped on a little bit of soft, but you know, I've caught so many times in soft anyway, so you never know.
If you could fish any carp lake during any time period, where would it be? And I'm sure the answer from a lot of you is going to be Raisbury. And it is Raisbury that Jim Shelley talked in detail about during January's endgame videos that we released. Now, throughout these videos, and there were 2 of them, Jim details his entire campaign on Raisbury, catching fish like the pug, Malins, Mary, Mary's mate. He pretty much caught the lot of them, other than Cluster. There's always one that gets away. But what an incredible lake. Arguably the, if not one of the best stocks we've ever had in this country in one of the most incredible lakes too. You know, the full package. That place really did have it all during its day. So yeah, my question to you is, if you could fish anywhere at any time, where would it be? And if you don't know anything about Raisbury, check this out.
Just sitting there on the beds, you know, you're not even thinking with boating that you're going to get anything happen till for hours, let's say the morning, if you were lucky. We're talking about Raisbury here with 15 to 17 carping. So just laying there, watching, sitting up, having a beer, laying down, watching. No need to have the bivvy up or anything at that point. And the rod's just melted like that. Like, the only way I could explain it'd be the fastest take you can imagine, like what you get when you're fishing abroad. You know, there's no bleeping involved. It's just utter carnage. Now, I've got the boat there. And with the strength of and the power of this fish, and watching the line cutting up, I noticed we've got a little island, like that sort of shape there, and the line's cutting up like it's going to go round. Now, something inside me said, open the bow arm. So basically, I opened the bow arm. Once I've got my life jacket on, I've got to row so far against the wind, pick the rod up, quickly crank the line on and hope that everything goes back on the spool correctly, but not tight up, and pull into the fish. So it was row a little, reel a little, row a little, reel a little, till I got this island. I'm going to say 60 yards out, could have been 70, could have been 80, but I had to do that, and I couldn't allow any pressure on that line until I basically got over the bar which run off the island. What this meant was, as I approached the area, I had to have a plan, and the plan was I needed to moor the boat. This all sounds like, but it happened so fast, because I'm in like overdrive mode. You know, so many decisions are running through your head. You know, I could have taken the wrong decision and paid the ultimate for it. But this time I made the right decision, and that decision was to row, cranking, row, cranking, row, cranking until I got over the bar next to the island. I then jumped out and then sort of somehow tied the boat with to go back quarter of a century and try and relive that. But in its entirety, what happened was I'm standing on the end of the island. I've now, as I've started to reel line in but add pressure, so I don't even know if it's still on. That's the other thing. I don't even know, because I'm not pulling into it and seeing what's going on. I'm just row a little bit, reel, and then I'm on the island, and it's, as I crank the bow alarm, my focus then goes on what's happening there. Boat safe, got a net. And as I crank, you see the line it's moving. The rod compresses. Okay, you might think that would still be flying, but Mary is a known scrapper, really savage. She had done, or he had done that, and it was just the circumstances. It was running into basically thin air, water. There was not a lot of problems apart from the island. So as I pulled into it, the rod loaded, like I said, and I commenced battle. Set the clutch, always set on the clutch. No back winding, don't do that. And started to play the carp. It took on a nice battle curve, as I say. I knew it wasn't a small one. It was a dead weight. It was a big one, 100%. It was a big one. Now, it weren't stripping. It basically come back towards me on a line. What I mean is a long line. I think it had just gone round like that, and it was coming back because it'd been free swimming, really. We just probably didn't even know it was still hooked, to be fair. At this point, I was on the end of the island, and I knew it was close. And as it swam past, so it's coming from my left, through the island, close, and it was on its side, and the sun, because it was such a lovely sunny hot day, you've got to remember the ripples coming towards me, everything's enhanced in the waves, and I got the look at the scale, which then you look at the enormity, the sheer size of that carp. But at that point, I got this feeling like shiver down my spine. Something was looking at me, and it was just like that eye contact I got, and it was on its side as it went past, and I just thought, sorry, I'm going to swear again here, fucking hell, that's Mary. It's the biggest known carp in Britain at that point, and I've got a size 11 Maruti Kinru stuck in its mouth. You know, we're in proper shit mode here, you know, everything's crossed, I'm praying to the carp gods. I noticed someone like in the swim, which I heard him say something, I didn't, I'm too focused on what's going on. I'm not really bothered if travellers nicking my gear or whatever, just as long as they ain't going to take my keys, that's all. But I'm playing this fish. I suppose the battle lasted from that point around 10 or 12 minutes. Nothing out of the norm in the battle. It was just I had to be aware of it going maybe over a bar. I didn't want to get cut off, so times when it was coming from my right, I'd have to play it a little bit harder to keep the line up and keep him off the bottom, away from the gravel. So you imagine, I'll tell you something, right? I only ever had this feeling a handful of times. One particular moment would be playing the Black Mirror in the boat. You know, you're talking about one of the very, very best carp to catch, and you're on a little bit of, you know, the hook is tiny in relation to what's going on. You're praying it's going to stay on. The loss is savage. It's a massive loss if it happens. You know, I can remember the same battle with the Black Mirror, looking up and just praying, please, please stay on, you know. And in the end, it's just there. And you sort of think, like, fucking hell, it's all over now. Jesus, all of that, all them good times and all of that, and it's like come to that moment. But little did I know what I'll be doing next. But we'll tell that story shortly. I popped the hook out straight away. I rolled him on the side. Imagine touching it. It's just, yeah, fucking hell, it's the pinnacle. It doesn't get much better than that, the Black Mirror. That's it. I've told that story, I think, yes. But you imagine, that's the first part of a long... I set myself a target years ago. There's 3 I ever wanted to catch, you know, around 1040s, and I wanted to catch Mary two-tone in the Black Mirror. So that was first part, and I was a no one. So I don't know what you call that, over a quarter of the way. And you just think, 1040s. And there really wasn't that sort of amount of carp about like there is today. And you've got the carp in the net that's done the British record. It's the biggest carp. The history behind it, the people that have caught it, the water it lives in, even the name it's got it's just all carp fishing history, which just seems to be like basically lost these days, because it just is. It's not like it used to be. So I punched the air. I'm pretty sure I had an oar in my hand and just shouted out, fucking yes. I ripped my throat. Like, I couldn't talk properly for days. Like, you know, just the immense satisfaction, jubilation, prestige, inner feeling, the buzz of catching one of the very best and the biggest carp. I was under no illusion it was no British record, because it'd been out. That bloke had caught, I think it was 53.12, but just shows you 3 weeks later, roughly, that it can happen. And there it was, Mary. So Ian Welsh wanted to have a look at it, so I was given permission, or he gave me permission to sack it, and he was over within 40 minutes because their offices are close. And you can see in the picture there was a big meeting of people, tench anglers, eel anglers, carp anglers, people that run like fishing. Everyone was so happy, and it was just, I got her out, I held her up, and it was just that dream from, if you want to call it a dream or premonition or whatever you want to call it, and you'd love to be there, and in your fishing, that's where and you're there and you've done it, you've got it. And it weren't that many years beforehand, and you're just thinking, you know, from looking at a big carp annual where you've got Pete Springate holding Mary and Mary's mate on this big carp annual, And there you are, you're right in the mix, fucking doing it. And if that's what you really want to do, anything in life, that's what you should do.
Ollie Davies is certainly an angler that does things a little bit different. You know, his style with the baiting pole, that alone is very different to what I'm sure most of you are doing. Or certainly was. It's become more and more popular as time has passed. And it was off the back of that style of fishing and Ollie's will and want to really get about the place and go from lake to lake, you know, chasing fish all the time, staying really active. It was off the back of that we thought he'd be a great guy to do a series with. And with that, the Bushwhacker series was born. We had to call it the Bushwhacker because it's very rare he does anything other than ship rigs out with a pole. In our latest film, he goes to Waterside Fishery, which is a place he's fished on and off for years. And whilst he was there, we saw him using a quite different and rather unique rig. So most of the time these days, people are using a hair rig of some kind or they're using a spinner, you know, so there'll be a swivel or a hair that gives that separation between the bait. You know, most rigs, although they are different, they're similar in a lot of ways. And this is not like that. This is a really different, really refined maggot rig that he likes to use. So check this rig out, and then my question is simply going to be, what are your thoughts on Ollie's rig? And is this something you would use, or would you prefer to go down the more popular route in terms of rig choice?
So I'm back at the ranch, come back to the main point. I'm just going to spread my rods out here for the evening. I spent a little bit of time watching earlier and there was definitely fish bubbling. So I really know where to put them now. That was all I needed. I just needed a sign. I didn't want to put them out blind. Tactics wise, I'm fishing maggots. I'm going to put a little bit of hemp in the spoon as well. But having seen the bait that's been left lying around, I'm keen not to put boilies and pellets in, which would be my normal approach, to be fair. So yeah, it's a really simple rig, tied up just with a hook and line, no hair. I'm using a size 10 hook and 15-pound mono, and I'm just hooking 4 or 5 maggots onto the hook. Now, yeah, some people might go, well, why aren't you fishing a hair or a maggot liner or something? Well, to be honest, I've tried it and this works just as well. I had one yesterday using this rig and he was hooked plumb in the bottom of the lip. Yeah, so they eat it, as long as the crays don't eat it, but you can't use plastic baits in here anyway. I fished pop-ups last night, they got half eaten. So yeah, I may as well use maggots anyway. The beauty of the pole is that I can re-drop quite regularly, and I will re-drop maybe before I go to bed tonight, so to make sure that I'm fishing properly. So yeah, I've got 4 rods set up. Because I've got the lake to myself and I'm allowed to fish 4 rods, I'm going to spread them about, maximise my chances. Okay, let's get fishing. So I'm going to put a bit of hemp in the spoon first, and I have to say it is particularly good hemp as well, isn't it? Look at the size of it. Next, a good handful of maggot. Then I'm going to drop the rig in. Just like that, nice and simple. This is going to be the left-hand rod, and I'm putting it out towards the area where I caught that one from the far bank, but I'm just going to fish it a bit further down the shelf. I guess this is about 45 metres, which it can be a long pole in windy conditions, but on a small lake where there's no wind, yeah, it's light work. Yeah, nice drop. Yeah, it's about 6 feet deep there, just about at the bottom of the marginal shelf, in an area where I've seen quite a few fish patrolling, so that's not a random drop. I know it's pretty clean down there. One of the advantages of the clear water is that you can, well, obviously that you can see, and you can see what's gone before you. And when I turned up, in a couple of areas there was bait visible, and I could clearly see that that was a mixture of pellet and boilie. I don't know how long it had been there, but I know that the guys on the booking before this hadn't caught anything. So that really gave me a little bit of an insight or a clue or a point in the right direction as to maybe what I should be using for bait myself. Now, I would normally use crushed boilie and pellet, but on this trip I've steered clear of it. The pellet is a bit too much of an attractor for the crays, and we're getting to that time of year where those natural baits, you know, those live baits can really trigger a bite from fish which are otherwise not really interested in feeding, and I don't think the fish on this trip have really been switched on to bait at all. They're in that kind of mood where if they come across it, they're more likely to be repulsed by it or swim away from it. certainly the maggots seem to have a little bit of a different reaction, so I've concentrated my approach on that. As well as the maggots, I have added hemp. I didn't use it in the edge when I was stalking, but when I was fishing overnight I did, because it's another one of those things which the crays don't find particularly attractive, but it's super attractive to the carp, but maybe not in the same way that a boilie and a pellet is. It definitely plays a part in my fishing at this time of year a lot, along with maggots and a little bit of boilie crumb normally. But again, where there are crayfish present, you might want to leave out those cray attractors if you like. Fishing maggots as a hook bait itself is a little bit of a risk in this situation. There's every chance that you could get crayed. So I'll be checking them regularly, and the beauty of the pole is that that's not really causing too much of a disturbance if I do that. I can afford to re-drop regularly. Yeah, for a lot of people the pole's just too much hard work, I think. Especially when the water gets colder. Well, that's the last rod out, and it is actually not far off dark now, but what I will do, I've noted how many pole sections and I've got a far bank marker, so I'm going to redo all those rods before I go to bed, probably about 11 o'clock, half 11. I'll certainly check. I mean, if the baits are okay on the first two, then maybe I'll leave the second two, but I can't trust the crays not to leave me alone all night, and I don't want to wake up in the morning and find that all 4 rods are not fishing. It's quite a cool carp. I recognise it because I actually saw it quite a lot yesterday. It was one of the carp which was, well, they were swimming up and down so close I could make out every scale. I've called it J scale, original, hey? This is another one actually, this linear here. I saw 2 linears yesterday, both swimming together, and there's 2 linears up in the lodge, one over there and one here. So I think that's both of them. This one was the bigger of the 2. Well, it's definitely going cold out tonight, but it's lovely and warm in the lodge here. I love a bit of summer fishing, hardcore, under the stars, but you know what, when the temperature plummets, you can't beat a nice warm lodge to sit in of an evening. I've got my trap set, the lodge is nice and warm. To be honest, I'm pretty tired this evening. I can't see me staying up too late. I've rolled the dice, I've got my trap set. Gonna open up the bed chair just out here under the veranda and get a little bit of kip. Get up nice and early, see if I can make one more chance. I've got to be honest, I actually wasn't really expecting a bite. Sounds a bit negative, but the way they were behaving. But this was the one I actually tucked right up against that far margin. Forgetting I've got a tiny hook and a little mono hook link. It's only a small one, but it's not fighting hard. Feels like it's quite late, Rich. There's quite a lot of traffic, isn't there? Yeah, it sounds like the world's waking up, which is great because we can leave them in the net. But hey, well, that's snatched from the jaws of defeat. Result. There we go. Oh look, he's touching the... Bosh. Well, we're only staying for a couple more hours, but as you know, you can catch on really quickly using the pole, so I've stuck the rod back out, right tight to the far bank. I've still got my other traps out, so yeah, while we deal with this fish, I've got a chance of another one. Well, he's quite cool actually. Well, that's a proper bonus. The way they were behaving yesterday, I wasn't sure I was going to get a bite, but yeah, just before first light this morning, it's rattled off. This one I'd actually placed really close to the margin last night, after I'd seen the fish come in. He's quite a cool character, isn't he? A few scars on him. Foldy tail. Yeah, he'll do. So yeah, I've put the rod back out. We're going to have another cup of coffee, give it another hour maybe, and then probably get off on our way. But yeah, this one has made my morning.
Samir and Claire are two people I'm sure you're all familiar with, and they've made lots of films for us here at Cypography. One thing we haven't seen too many times is what you're about to see in this clip, and it is something that you will probably experience more and more depending on the types of venues you fish. If you fish park lakes, if you fish the canals, you know, if you're coming into contact with the public more regularly, maybe this has happened to you, and that is going to be my question. So check this clip out, but it's essentially a woman asking Samir if she's going to return the carp, which I think for a lot of people looking on at us as we go carp fishing, it's probably a question they all wonder. It does seem a little bit crazy. I think when you actually consider what we do, catch a carp, take a picture, put it back, that is a little bit weird, and I think most people would expect us to take the fish home, and you know that's the case here. So my question to you, and it's going to be the last question, is have you ever experienced something like this? Have you ever come into contact with a member of the public who is either questioning what you do morally or simply questioning whether you're actually going to return the carp? You know, when you've spoken to someone within the public, what have they asked you, what have they said, and what has their overriding impression been of the fact that you are out there fishing?
The next day I would head up to Lyon Airport to collect my lovely Claire for the next 4 weeks of this mega fishing adventure. Here she is. Oh, lady, I'm so glad to see you.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. It's just taking so long. I left the house at 4 this morning, and now it's 7 o'clock in the evening.
And we've still got loads of work to do, yeah?
Yeah, well, I want to sleep. We'll do that tomorrow. So, yeah.
Go on, big fishing adventure, let's go.
Let's go.
Making our way back down the motorway, we would stay at a campsite for the evening before getting up very early the next morning to hit the banks once more. I don't think we're going to fit under that.
Oh, no, you're not take it off.
I reckon if I push that down and you drive slowly, that'll be alright. So you want to drive and I'll hang off the side and try and push it down?
Yeah, let's do it.
Come on in. Yes, Claire. First obstacle completed. With all the rods out, we enjoyed a glorious sunrise on this beautiful gravel pit. We just hoped we could get amongst a few before the day was out. So here we are on the banks of what is a very, very public water. This morning when we arrived, we see about 3 fish in total show just out in front of us here. But when we had a lead around, there wasn't very many clear patches at all. In fact, this lake is absolutely choked with weed. But we did manage to find a deeper area where I guess the light isn't getting down to the bottom. So it was pretty clear, to be honest. It was roughly around 10 meters, which is probably a little bit too deep for my liking, to be honest. But we have seen 3 fish show in this area, so my confidence levels are reasonably high. The temperatures are getting up to 35 degrees today, which is incredibly hot for September. But with a few cold beers and maybe a couple of garlic olives, I'm sure me and Claire would be just fine. But yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. There's some ridiculously big carp that reside in this lake, and I'm hoping that over the next couple of days we're going to manage to bag ourselves one. Oh, there's another one, Claire. Look, 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 look. We spotted a number of carp showing the far margin, and when we popped the drone up, we could see a few feeding in the edge. Mate, we're going to have to get on the move. You have to move. Come on. Right, see a carnage here. Trying to get one bit sorted out. Claire has gone to the shop. Here, the rigs I've switched over to because of the weed, gone for a little Ronnie with a bit of plastic. Straight into an inline. Yeah, these two are getting dropped in the edge, that's why I've still got quite a bit of thick leader on because there's a lot of snags there. I've just unpacked a bit further up the bank, but I've just found a load of fish in here. Oh man, literally I heard one crash out, I thought I'd come down here and take a look quickly. I've got down there and I've just seen 3 really good carp, mate. One of them's definitely a 50, maybe even a 60. Just literally on the other side of that bit of weed there. And I see another one right in the edge down here, just in front of a little bit of weed over there. So looks like I'm gonna move again. Didn't even get the rods out. But you know, if you're not on these big fish, how can you expect to catch them? You know, and if you really want to catch big fish, there's no amount of effort you won't go to achieve that goal. Right, let's go get my kit again. I spooked a couple earlier when I was having a look, but they've all filtered back in slowly, so even if I spook them, they're clearly quite happy here. Stealthily dropping a couple of rods in the edge, accompanied by a few hands of crushed tigers and whole tigers. I hope this will be enough to get myself a quick bite. Claire and I chose to cast out our last 2 rods each in the swim that we set up in. With a nice big thick band of weed and a clear area afterwards, we hoped this would be an ideal interception spot for the carp that were cruising up and down the margin. Adding just a couple of catapults of tiger nuts, we hoped this would be enough to get a quick bite, and it didn't take long for the fish to get on the spot. I'm just gonna go in the boat if you pass me the net. Yeah, he's buried. No, he's buried. Hold up, babe. Just hold it like that, that'll be fine. Get the boat. Yes. Come on. Oh, the butt's still on. Come on. Oops. No. Oh. Yeah, I can feel it. It just kicked in. I'm not supposed to be using a boat here, but it's snagged up in the weed. Bite just come out of the blue. I was actually flying a drone at the time. Absolute nightmare. Lucky Claire was on hand to help me out. Decent one. Oh yeah, it's a lovely one. Lovely carp. Yeah, come on. Out you come. Cool, come on. Come on. Yes. Oh, is it in? Yeah. Yes. Look at that. Really lovely one, Claire. I worked incredibly hard for that today. Oh, thanks, Claire. Honestly, what a headache it's been. Hello. No, not. Yes, gonna put it back, yes. No problem. Oh, what a lovely carp that is.
Whoa, baby.
Oh, what a pucker one, man. That's a good 40 pound in that.
Beautiful. Well done. Well deserved.
Hard day's graft for that, isn't it?
Mental day.
Well, there's my reward for today's efforts. It's been a real tough one in the heat, 35 degrees. We fished 3 spots so far since this morning, and I'm feeling ever so shattered now. You know, we stumbled across a real good group of fish. I was starting to think it wasn't going to happen, but this one, fancied a sweet tiger nut and a Ronnie claw. Lovely, lovely carp. Right, I've got to get him back because it's really hot. Hopefully, there's another one before the day's out. Oh. See you later, little buddy. But before we put him back, the lady over there had a little bit of a worry that we was going to eat him. Hey, lady!
You're putting him back!
This is going back now.
I just let you know it's safe.
God bless her. She's got her tits out, but yours are much bigger, Claire.
Just don't.
Right, see you later. See you later, little buddy. Little big buddy.
I should point out that I just called Samir a she, which I think technically isn't true, but you know, we can all make our own minds up on that. So Samir, sorry for calling you a she. That's it for this month. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting if you have done. As I said at the start, that's what these videos are all about. So please, please, please put your comments in the comment section. Talk to us, answer our questions, ask us yours, and we will get back to you as best and as quick as we can. And until next time, I will see you around.